Hi, I'm Patty. I'm going to lead you through this unit orientation video for the third grade unit, Inheritance and Traits. In Inheritance and Traits, students take on the role of wildlife biologists working in the fictional Greystone National Park to figure out the anchor phenomenon in their unit. Students study two wolf packs and they're challenged to figure out why Wolf 44, an adopted wolf, has certain traits. Students observe variation between and within different species, investigate inherited traits and those that result from the environment, and work throughout the unit to write an explanation of how Wolf 44 acquired certain traits. As they work through the 4 chapters, they gather evidence from multiple sources by doing, talking, reading, writing, and visualizing. Their explanations become more complex over time as they construct understanding about how traits vary within a species. They learn that organisms get instruction for traits from both of their parents, and that traits can be determined by inheritance, the environment, or both. This unit is an investigation unit. In their role of wildlife biologists, students develop skills with the science and engineering practice, planning and carrying out investigations, with a particular focus on asking investigative questions that advance the understanding of the phenomenon being studied. Students conduct investigations with data as well as physical materials in order to gather evidence about how organisms get their traits. Students use this information as they work to understand and explain the phenomenon of inheritance and the influence of the environment. They carry out investigations by using photographs and illustrations showing the traits of a wide variety of organisms. They also use various sets of data cards and work with the digital inheritance and traits modeling tool. The focal cross-cutting concept in this unit is patterns. As they delve deeply into making observations of traits in a wide variety of organisms, students observe both similarity and variation. As students begin to understand that patterns in particular traits can be evidence that organisms are closely related or less closely related, students use more and different kinds of data to look for patterns to answer questions about traits. Every Amplify Science elementary unit also includes a focal sense-making strategy, which students leverage as they read and also during investigations. This unit's sense-making strategy is asking questions. Like most units in Amplify Science, K5, the main writing genre is explanation. Well, that's the overview. Now I'll talk you through what happens throughout the unit, how students build from their prior knowledge to get to a complex causal explanation of the anchor phenomena. To do this, I'll summarize the key ideas students figure out in each chapter and how they use these ideas to explain the anchor phenomenon piece by piece. For each chapter, I'll highlight 1 or 2 key evidence sources students use. But remember, in every chapter, and indeed every lesson, students gather evidence multimodally from many different sources. In Chapter 1, students investigate and learn that there's a lot of variation in traits. Organisms in a species have many similar traits, but the traits they have vary within the species. A key evidence source includes information gained from constructing bar graphs to visualize and analyze similarity and variation in students' traits. Then they look for patterns with other species. At the end of Chapter 1, students return to the anchor phenomenon. They explain that even though all wolves are the same species, some wolves are different from others due to variation of traits within a species. This means that even though wolves can have similarities in their traits, there can also be variations in each trait. For example, wolves have different colors of fur. Some wolves have a trait for gray fur, while others have a trait for black fur. In Chapter 2, students discover that organisms get instructions for traits from their two parents, and they come to realize that this is why organisms have similar traits to their parents. In this chapter, students collect evidence from reading and discussing patterns between parents and offspring in Handbook of Traits. At the end of Chapter 2, students are able to explain that Wolf 44's color is similar to the wolves in the Bison Valley pack because its parents are in the Bison Valley pack. Offspring inherit instructions for each trait from both parents. This means that the trait of fur color comes from Wolf 44's parents. In Chapter 3, students investigate and find out that traits can also be determined by the environment, and sometimes traits can be determined by both environment and inheritance. A key experience that helps students collect evidence is the celery investigation in lessons 3.3 and 3.4, when students learn how the color of the celery might be influenced by environmental factors. At the end of Chapter 3, students are able to explain that environmental factors influenced Wolf 44. Wolf 44 doesn't hunt like the Bison Valley pack because it learned to hunt from the wolves in the Elk Mountain pack. Learning to hunt is a trait that is determined by a wolf's environment. Wolf 44 is a medium-sized wolf because of both inherited instructions, like size, and the environment that it lives in, which influences things such as diet. This means that Wolf 44 can grow bigger than its parents, but it can't grow as big as the wolves in the Elk Mountain pack. In the final chapter of the unit, students apply what they've learned to investigate another species, the white-crowned sparrow. They learn that scientists can investigate questions by looking for patterns in data. They ask and write investigable questions about the traits of the white-crowned sparrow, taking into account the available data, and then using that data to answer their questions. I hope you're feeling excited to start teaching this unit. In addition to the resources on the Amplify platform, check out the at-home videos and at-home units to help you teach the unit remotely. You can use any combination of these resources to engage your students in figuring out about inheritance and traits. Please let me know how I can help you plan for instruction. I'm Patty Works, and my email address is pworks@amplify.com. Thank you.